All right, I've got a great show for you today. 41% of Americans believe we are heading for civil war. 50% of the country doesn't believe Joe Biden was legally elected. The government just passed a $95 billion foreign aid package and then stopped weapon and money transfer to Israel, but not to Ukraine. So lots going on in the country. And another big story that I want to share with you guys today, which has to do with Congress and how they come in with little to no money and they exit as multi-millionaires. So how do members of Congress regularly outperform the stock market? As best I can tell, they cheat by using insider information. At least that's what my guest tells me. Today, I have my friend Ross Givens. He's an insider trading expert, and he's been doing some deep dive research on our behalf on what's going on in Washington, D.C. Ross, thank you so much for joining me today.
Stephen, my pleasure.
So I know that there's been some big stories because you were texting me about them.
Yeah.
But you talk a lot about insider trading by politicians and others. As far as I know, you are the expert on this topic. And that's what I love about you. But I want my people to understand this because I want everyone around me to have more knowledge, more truth, more money. And so if we can learn what is going on, I want to do that. And I know that we have a Republican who has been busted on the record making huge contributions to the stock market and cashing in. We've got Nancy Pelosi, who's making a couple $1 million a month, almost 10 times her salary each year in just 1 month. But you guys have a training coming up here in the next couple of days. Can you tell my members about that?
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, we track this activity and it's really blatant, but the silver lining of it all is that these trades are public knowledge. And that's the part most people don't know is that are they trading on inside information? It sure as heck looks like it. But the way to even the playing field is, hey, they're reporting those trades. You can see what they buy, when they buy it. So all we do is show people how to do that, how to find this information, how to buy the same stocks they do. And so we do these training events usually like once a month or so, but we have one coming up. We did it right after this because I know your viewers might want to come to this. So it's going to be Wednesday, May 15th at 3:00 Eastern. It's online. It's totally free. And to walk everybody through this, show them how we've been using this to outperform the market for 6.5 years.
Okay, cool. Now, the other day you text me about Republican Representative Michael McCall. Mm-hmm. And this to me is such blatant insider trading, like using his committee position to gather information and then use it to his own personal advantage. Tell my audience what you discovered from your research.
Well, it all has to do with that TikTok ban we've been hearing a lot about. And that bill was written by, as you said, a guy named Michael McCall from the House of Representatives. Now, he is chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. So what he's done, he hates TikTok. He called it, quote, a spy balloon in America's phones used to surveil and exploit our personal information. Now, is he right? Look, I don't know. He chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee. Let's just say he is, for argument's sake. Let's say that's true. It really doesn't matter. But here's where it gets crazy. What he does, he drafted this new law that would ban anyone from using TikTok in America. But here's where things get interesting. Once he introduces this bill, he immediately starts buying Meta stock. So like he signs the bill on March 3rd. By March 5th, he's bought 500 grand of Meta stock. It's all in his wife's name. Then he buys another 100 grand, another 100 grand, another. I mean, he is buying this stock up hand over fist.
And so he's doing it under his wife's name, hoping he won't get busted or called an insider trading, kind of like what Paul Pelosi does on Nancy's behalf.
Yeah, Nancy doesn't trade. It's just Paul, Stephen. It's just Paul.
Yeah, it's just, right? Yeah, and they never talk about this. Now, Meta, that's the parent company of Facebook and Instagram and anybody else?
They own a couple of things. What's the messaging app?
That's
I
right.
forget
Yeah,
what it is, but yeah, that's Zuckerberg's company. It's the old Facebook. Now it's called Meta, and it owns Facebook, it owns Instagram, and he basically tries to copy everybody else. But
okay, but
yeah, they're basically
certainly
TikTok's
a
big competitor.
competitor of
Exactly.
TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So he writes this bill to get TikTok banned and then dumps almost $800,000 into their top competitor.
Yeah. And right. And it's just common sense, right? If TikTok gets banned, what happens? All those billions of users, all that traffic is going to flow to other platforms like Instagram, like Facebook. So all that, those eyeballs, that ad revenue, more profits, and of course, a higher stock price. But the guy didn't even stop there. And here's how crazy it is, why I say it's so blatant. Now, as you know, what Republicans did, they pulled a little trick to make sure this bill would pass. And this is something we see in Congress a lot. They attached it to another bill, specifically that $95 billion aid package you talked about for Ukraine and Israel. So what they said is essentially, look, if you want to get this $95 billion to line the pockets of your friends and donors in the military-industrial complex, you also have to vote yes on the TikTok ban. So he knew the thing's going to pass. The ban is pretty much a sure thing. So what do you think he did next?
Probably bought more stock.
He bought more stock. Exactly. Yeah. He buys another several $100,000 worth. This time he puts it in his kids' names. So all told, McCall, in this little window around the ban he wrote to ban TikTok that, of course, gets passed, the guy invested more than $1 million into Meta stock right around this.
Which, like, right off the top of my head, I'm like, why would you be buying so much Facebook stock as a Republican after Mark Zuckerberg put $400 million into getting Joe Biden elected? But that's like a side note. But to me, I see this as such blatant insider trading. Like he knew that the bill was coming because he wrote it and then dumps $1 million into that stock.
Yeah, and the thing is, just I see this stuff. I'm like, oh, here it comes. Here comes, the ethics board or something. But they never come. They don't care. And you look at the history of this guy. You get on my radar. This I'm going to look into. You listen to this. The guy gets elected to Congress in 2004. Okay, he's not a poor guy, but he's worth around $12 million. 2004. 8 years later, his net worth is reported at $294 million.
Hold on.
Rodriguez office.
So 12 million to 294 million in just 8 years.
8 years.
And the guy makes $174,000 a year.
Congressional salary.
Okay, this is what makes me so mad. Like, one, I don't have $12 million, and two, like you used your public service office to become a multi-hundred millionaire. I mean, these guys are obviously using stock trading information based off of the information they get in these private meetings where they discuss where the government is going to be dumping money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and it's that's really, I mean, it's so, when you start showing people this, they have the reaction you have. They're so mind blown, which is why I started hosting these free training sessions. Just to show people how to use this information, to use it to make money. Like, we can all be angry about it, but that's not going to help us any. And McCall is by far not the only one doing this. And I'll give you just a couple examples. Cindy Axne is a Democratic representative. This woman serves in the Financial Services Committee. So she was on the committee in charge of investigating Wells Fargo over the fake account scandal. During that investigation, she's trading Wells Fargo stock, right? Earl Blumenauer bought all these defense company stocks on the very day Russia invaded Ukraine. Catherine Clark, get this one. She bought this little tiny stock called Hollow Logic back in 2020. Nobody had ever heard of it. Well, she buys this stock 1 week before the company gets awarded a $119 million COVID-19 testing contract. And even if you wanted to say, Ross, maybe that's a coincidence, Stephen, the woman is literally on the committee that awarded that funding. I mean, it's insane. Rick Allen's making trades in Merck, Johnson & Johnson, while sitting on the subcommittee considering prescription drug price legislation. Pat Fallon, this guy buys Microsoft stock before the government announces a $10 billion cloud computing contract with the Pentagon. And if that's not enough, The government actually cancels the contract. Fallon sells the stock right before they cancel. I mean, and I don't even need to go into Nancy Pelosi. So, look, these people care about one thing and one thing only. The days of a public servant are over. They care about themselves. And with the exception of maybe Trump, politicians almost always leave office far wealthier than when they came in. I mean, the Clintons were broke when Bill became president. Now they're worth $250 million. I mean, DC is a revolving door of lobbyists, politicians, and special interests robbing the taxpayer to enrich themselves. I can't see it any other way.
Yeah, there's no other way to see it. It's like, it's so disgusting to me. And I don't know how you stop this, because they're the ones being enriched off of controlling the treasury and where it sends money. They just happen to front run it and drop their money before. And then you and I are left guessing like, oh, I wonder where I should invest my money. Is there any chance that this ever gets stopped? I know there's a couple of bills in the works.
I can't imagine it. I mean, that's the thing, like you said about being a lawmaker. You write the laws. You're not going to write or pass a law that takes away your ability to make hundreds of millions of dollars. The only silver lining to all of this, and the only way we even the playing field is, like I said, they have to report their trades publicly. And so if you know where to look, what to look for, you can see the exact stocks that congressmen and other insiders are buying right now in their personal account. So all we do is piggyback their trades. Now, I've been alerting our members to those trades since 2017. I'm not saying they've all made a fortune, but we've never had a losing year. You know, our track portfolio buying these stocks has a compounded return of over 1,900% over the last 6 years. CADX, that stock I shared with you in January. I don't know if you remember that one. It's a little biotech I was talking about. All the insiders were buying. It's up 360% in 4 months. So I talked about it. So I just, if you're not following these trades, you're not buying the same stocks, I think you're missing out on some really huge profits.
Yeah. That's actually one that I missed out on. That was the free recommendation one that you guys gave.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. 360%
since January. Yeah. Last 4 months. So it's more than quadrupled. And that's one, right?
Are you guys going to give away another one during the event?
We are, yeah. So for this, the event coming up on Wednesday, we're doing the same thing. So everyone who registers for the event, I think you usually put the link below. We're going to send you by email immediately all the research and our latest pick. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to leave a link down below so that people can go research that. Now, just so that my audience and I understand, that 360% increase, Ross, was that because of politicians, or was that one that you guys were tracking like the CEO and the CFO?
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about Wednesday. Like, everyone focuses on politicians, insider trading, and yes, there's some opportunity there, but there's an even bigger world out there, because the CEOs and the chief financial officers and vice presidents and board members, same with them. They have to report when they buy their stock, and we can see it usually within a day or two. So we can track senators, we can track House representatives, we can also track these corporate executives. With CADX, that biotech, it's like so obvious. It's this little biotech company running all these little drug trials, and suddenly, like, the head of medical research, the chief financial officer, 5 board members just piling into this stock out of nowhere with half their annual salary. It's like they seem to think things are going pretty well. And of course they were. The drug trials were great. The stock went from like 40 cents to, I don't know what it is now, $1.80, $2, but it's, up 300 something percent. So those are the kind of opportunities we look for, just very blatant, just like this one with Meta, with this congressman.
Yeah. Those, I doubt those executives were like, let's dump a bunch of our own money in because this thing's going to lose, right? Like they were flashing a green light. Yeah. We know something good is coming. And they were just quietly buying, not breaking the law, but the signal was being sent out, and you guys were able to
and I'll explain all that to everybody, but it's this giant SEC loophole where, like, they're basically allowed to trade their own stock in their own company as long as they follow a couple of rules. The only catch is, well, you got to report those publicly. So, they buy the stock on Monday, we know about it on Tuesday. And it's this huge secret to getting these free kind of inside tips. Most people just don't know about it. And the ones that do don't know how to find the information. So it's all free. We can all access it. I show people how to do this for free. And like I said, we've had a ton of success with it. And, it doesn't take a whole lot of 360% winners to have a pretty good year, So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday's live session. And like I said, I'm sending out the free report on our newest pick to everybody who registers. So you'll see the depth of the research. You'll see how obvious it is and why we do this.
Well, that's one reason that I liked I think we've been friends now for about a year. When you showed me that first one and how deep you guys go, what you're looking for, those KPIs, those key performance indicators, our senators buying, our governors buying, our House of Representatives, as the CEO, like all of it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And then knowing how to do it. So that's when is that? Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 15th. Yep.
May 15th, 3:00 Eastern. And look, anybody can come. The vast majority of our members have never traded stocks before. This is not complicated stuff. Anybody can do it. The only thing I should tell you is, this, but the software we use to broadcast, it caps at 1,000 attendees. And they don't always fill up, but we have had some in the past fill up. So I encourage people, go ahead, register early, reserve your seat. There's nothing to it. Name, email. If you want to put your cell number in, we'll give you a text reminder right before we get started, if your schedule's as busy as mine. And we'll send over all the details, all the research on our latest picks. So, couldn't be any easier.
Free event, Wednesday, May 15th, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to leave a link down below. And I hope the takeaway here for people is this isn't just a Democrat issue. This isn't just a Nancy Pelosi issue. Republicans are doing this. Democrats are doing this. This is the uniparty. This is the swamp in Washington, D.C. that gets in, maybe with good intentions, but once they're in there, that temptation to become mega rich it just gets most people.
Yeah. And the other thing I like to remind people, this is not a new phenomenon, right? Absolute power corrupts absolute. It's always been like this. I mean, if you go back to the Roman Empire, I'm sure those senators were buying up a ton of grain when they knew their supplies were low and, demand. I mean, it's always been that way. Anyone in a position of power is going to use that position to benefit themselves. We're all driven by those motivations. So you can sit around and be angry about it and hope the world's going to change. Or you can just use the information to help yourself. And we even show people there's benefits we have over these insiders, over these CEOs. So to me, it's the simplest way to beat the market. And we've had a lot of success with it. And we want to show as many people as possible how to do the same thing and empower regular investors to produce big returns using the same techniques.
Very cool. Okay. Well, thank you for doing your research. I try to cover all the political news, but I don't always see the financial corruption. So I appreciate you doing that research. I'll put that link down below, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Okay. See ya.